737 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Big night tonight out at the Nashville Palace, where all of us, I think everybody's going to be there, at least for the most part. I know Brian Wilson's going to be there. I know I'm going to be there. All the hosts are going to be there. And Brian, I hope you didn't take offense to my little joke about, the wind's going to be blowing hard tonight and this afternoon. But, I made a joke about how the blowhards are really going to be inside the Nashville Palace.
Well, that's what we do, isn't it?
It really is. I was kind of thought that you might say, hey, I resemble that remark. But
no. Listen, there will be a lot of hot air being thrown around. Mainly, I'm coming because you and I may have to hold Matt Murphy down and while they go at him with a pair of sheep shears.
Yes.
To get this haircut out of the way. So, I'm there to witness history being made in that regard, at least.
I want to have like a barber cam. They're trying to make it happen so that, we could just.
Yeah, put a GoPro on the actual shears.
Oh, my goodness. That would be so funny and also kind of creepy. Okay, so Let's talk a little bit about what you expect Donald Trump to do tonight. He's been in office, 5 weeks now, 5 or 6 weeks, whatever it's been.
Here's what I would say. Number one, pop some popcorn and settle in. I just saw the press secretary on Fox say that the speech is going to be about an hour. Well, if they think that what he's going to say is going to take an hour, and then you're going to have applause. You're going to have boos. The Democrats are not going to be on their best behavior. This thing could go 90 minutes or more because he likes to ad lib off the text.
It's the weave, Brian, that he likes to talk about.
Yeah. He likes to weave in and out of the previously approved copy.
Yes, he sure does.
So I expect it's going to be a long affair, and I really do expect that the Democrats, bless their hearts, as we say here in the South, they just can't help themselves. They're going to do what they do, and they're going to fall right into the Donald Trump trap if they do that. I think most Americans are pleased with what's going on. They're pleased with what's happening at the border. They like this talk about cutting government spending and cutting down the size of government in a huge way. That all is resonating very well, and the Democrats are going to be against that kind of thing. And I think that we're going to see exactly where people are today. Could be a thing that gives the president more impetus for his policies, because I think the people are going to react badly if the Democrats react badly to this speech.
Here's what I want to see. Donald Trump talking about deporting really bad, murderous, illegal aliens and all that, and the Democrats sitting there like somebody farted in church.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, it's going to be a real moment where they lay out, the differences between the two sides here. And remarkably, Democrats came out of this shellacking they got in the last election, and they haven't seemed to learn a darn thing. They're just going to go right down the path and do what they do. They just haven't figured out what this last election was about, because if they did, they would be handling themselves a lot differently.
Well, and it looks like there's going to be some Democrats that are just not going to show up.
Yeah, and that will be the other story. Empty seats, and we'll see how that turns out.
Well, you know what? For them, because they can't applaud for Trump victories, right? So it is a victory that Trump has been able to deport all of these murderous illegal aliens. And, we got all those, I don't know, I'm sure you saw the story about how we have now, Mexico sent us a bunch of, drug dealers, the guy that killed the DEA agent, if I remember, way back in 1985. So all of these are big time victories. It is going to be a long night for Democrats.
Yeah.
Because there are things that Trump has done that you would think would be, bipartisan victory, especially getting out again, not to belabor the point, but the murderous illegal aliens. And so that's going to be one of the things that I cannot wait to see. Now, it's a big day news-wise and politically, because we have, of course, the tariffs are taking place today. Right. So Trump has announced that. That was announced yesterday. The markets reacted. I've got E.J. Antoni coming up in the next hour, and at 8:06 he's from Heritage and Fox, and he's an economist. So, there's going to be a lot of debate as to what impact these tariffs are going to have. And
Well,
there's a lot of people that
look,
say that the prices are going to go up.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see. I mean, look, it's amazing how things people can blink their eyes and find solutions at the very last moment. But look, you may see a slight increase in this or that, or the price of avocados may go up, and there are going to be some things that, of course, the Democrats will seize upon. See what he's doing? We told you. But you got to play the long game here. And the long game here is that they need us a lot more than we need them, and they're going to be reminded of that fact, and it'll all get worked out. Will there be maybe some short-term spikes and stuff? Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't get too worried about it, because you got to play the long game in this particular regard.
One of the things I thought was interesting before you came on, maybe you were hearing me talk about this, but CNN did a poll. And now consider the source. It is, of course, CNN. But CNN did a poll, and 50% of the American people are for stopping the Ukraine-Russia war right now, even if that meant that Russia keeps their land that they've been able to get over the last several years. 48%, they're perfectly fine with this war going on, seemingly as long as it needs to go on. They support Ukraine in this fight, even if more people die. I was a little surprised by that. Yeah. I wonder if this is this a bipartisan issue?
I think maybe it is. I think you can't apply politics to everything, but in this particular case, Americans. I mean, first of all, do they think that it was right that Russia invaded? No, they don't. But they also don't like the idea of just endlessly sending money to Ukraine without any accounting to know exactly what is going on with the money that we send and the resources and the military equipment that we spend. Where is it at? Where is it going? I mean, there's this one report that I've seen out there, and I don't know that it's been verified or backed up, but I mean that some of this equipment got resold and money went in people's pockets. If that is true, and I don't know that it is, but if it is true, then that would be a real problem. And Americans don't like to see their money wasted. Well, by and large, Americans don't like to see their money sent overseas.
Well, that's number one. Number two, yes, you're right. There's the story about how it went into other people's pockets. There's also the story about how some of this money or some of the weaponry was sold on the black market, ultimately ended up into the hands of terrorists. And again, I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, I mean, that is obviously abhorrent. It is 7:45. Brian, got to check the roads. Coming up, we're going to do a bit of a deeper dive on, number one, Ukraine and what is going to be next in that whole drama. And number two, there's some drama in Williamson County regarding this conversation regarding primaries versus caucus. We'll talk about that as well. So, Brian, a couple of things real quick. I don't know, you and I have not spoken since that train wreck of a press conference on Friday.
What a mess that was.
Yeah, so just give me your thoughts.
I happened to be watching it in real time. I was sitting on the couch, and I have actually done what we call a White House spray. Now, the way this is traditionally done is, you go in, a small pool of reporters go in, and it rotates who's on the pool. And they go in, and they first of all, the sound people go in and they go low. And then the camera people come in behind them, and they stand right over the sound people. And then the reporters come in. It's sort of a little dance that you do. And a spray is supposed to be like, okay, the two leaders are talking. You get a little video of them sitting in front of the fireplace. They might say a little something, but you're not really. But that turned into an hour press conference.
Yeah.
where Zelensky could not help himself. And there's a lot of talk that the Democrats had met with him earlier, and got him all wound up to turn down the deal. And he arrived at the White House with having people in his ear and his backup, and the Trump people just weren't having it.
Well,
I've never witnessed anything quite like that event, where, I think these things happen behind closed doors. It is rare for you to have cameras and it to be live on American television as it's going down.
One of the things, and I did this yesterday, if you missed it, check out the podcast, but I believe there's this conversation about, did Zelensky, to me, people are saying that Trump and J.D. Vance ambushed Zelensky. Yesterday during my show, I I played the audio, and it really did seem more like Zelensky ambushed Donald Trump and J.D. Vance because he was very combative. There was a couple of times where he actually felt the need to correct Donald Trump in front of the media, and he thought he was correcting him, but who was right, who knows, but whatever. But that's the whole point, is that Zelensky came in, and I think those Democrats that you were talking about, I think they poisoned the water.
I think they did. And then they come out and criticize it when the deal falls apart. Well, you had, you're behind the scenes manipulating like a puppeteer all of the things to make it fall apart, and then you criticize the president for having made it because it didn't come together. That's dirty pool, and I think the American people are just tired of those kind of games. I really do. I think they've had it.
Yeah.
I think they're ready for something new. I still think that the vast majority of Americans, even those who didn't vote for Donald Trump, there's a fair number of them who are very pleased with some of the things that are going on. And Democrats would be wise to sort of back up and reassess their situation. I mean, how in the world can you be against fraud, waste, and abuse in the federal government? How can you possibly take that position? But they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you're a Democrat, I think there's so much Trump derangement syndrome that is infused on the other side.
If Trump is for it, they're going to be against it, and that's ridiculous. And the Democrats need to get over. You really got your butt kicked in the last election. But you know what? You need to learn from that, and I just don't think they're learning at all. I think they're going to be very rude tonight. I really do expect that.
Well, then let them, and then we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah,
works out for them.
Yeah.
Real quick, Brian, Williamson County. I got into this discussion yesterday. So Williamson County, there's a battle within the Republican Party. Just real quick. You got one side of the Republican Party, one group that wants to keep primaries in Williamson County. There's another group, the group that is currently in power there in Williamson County, and they're accused of wanting to switch to a caucus format. Right. It's all very controversial
inside
in Williamson
baseball,
County.
Very wonky inside baseball.
It is, but you know what? For whatever reason, I find this stuff interesting. So, but you've of course covered caucuses for many years in Iowa, right? So, give me your opinion on caucuses versus primaries.
Well, I've never, the caucus thing in Iowa, of course, I've covered it a couple of times, many times actually, and including this last round. And it is an interesting experience, but I think I lean toward the primary. I think, American politics, the primary just seems to be the more fair way to go about it. And instead of, a small group of people getting together and being swayed by this or that, let the American people have a thoughtful, look at what's happening in the election and then go in and do a primary. Let's do it.
Well, and there's flexibility too.
Yeah, primaries have worked for a long time, and I generally trend toward that.
All right, Brian, as always, thank you very much for joining us here on Nashville's Morning News.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'll see you tonight.
Yeah, we'll see you tonight. It is tonight, the Nashville Palace. All the hosts. Also, I guess Ken Weaver's going to be there, and KGB is going to be there. Joan's going to be there. So I think most folks here from the radio station are going to be there. So I can't wait to see. I don't really see my coworkers all that often. So I'm looking forward to seeing Murphy's show, and I'm looking forward to, seeing Chad. And of course, I see Chris every single day as well. So and I haven't seen Weaves in forever.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to seeing everybody there tonight. It all really starts at about 6 or so, but Matt Murphy is going to start broadcasting from the Nashville Palace at 3. And by the way, if you want to get tickets, there are still some tickets available, and you can find those at 997WTN.com.